Hey, Miles here at Tactile Hyve. Welcome to another Sports Sunday video. Today we're going to be talking about competition gear. Now, in the past, we've already talked about what type of gear you need to get involved in competitions, but in this video, we're going to dial into the different options out there. We're not going to be talking about every piece of gear, just simply what you need to get into the sport and get shooting. But before diving into the content for today, I want to let you know that this video is brought to you by Mark 7 Reloading. So thanks a lot, Mark 7. If you've been following Tactile Hyve for a while, you've probably noticed videos of me reloading, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook and even YouTube Shorts. And there's a lot of people wondering how I'm able to shoot a lot and how the cadre is able to shoot a lot. And that is because of Mark 7 Reloading, owning this press since the beginning of Tactile Hyve. Mark 7 is absolutely the future of reloading. Their technology, machinery is really great, and there doesn't seem to be any other reloading company out there that can match them. And they have so many different options for you. A lot of people think that it's really expensive to get in reloading, but they have different reloading presses for you. For example, the Apex is amazing and it's very affordable. And if you want to save a lot of time when it comes to reloading, then you want to look into their Revolution. The Revolution is what I have, and they've already made upgrades. So I've had that Revolution now for about 3 years. So the technology is even better. And this is something where you can crank out thousands and thousands of rounds in an hour. So you're saving a lot of time. So check them out at the link above or below, and you can use the coupon code TACHYVE for a discount off your order. Now let's get back to Sports Sundays. Now, we did a video in the past about what gear you need to get into competition, but this is a little different. We're going to be talking about the different options out there because there's just so much. And because there's so many different options, products, brands, features, and things like that, it's impossible for us to cover every single thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of the different options that I know about, the major ones that I use, a lot of other competitors use, as well as share some of the brands and include some of those links in the description below, so if you're interested. But keep in mind, as I mentioned, there's a ton of different options out there. I'm going to be discussing the main ones. We're also not going to cover every type of piece of gear out there when it comes to competition. We're going to focus on the 3 pieces that will get you out there and shooting, and that is a belt, a holster, and your mag pouches. We're not going to be discussing firearms, shoes, iPro, or anything like that. So we're going to start off with the belt, a competition belt. And there's many types out there. You'll probably see this to be the most common, and it's an outer belt. It's very rigid, and it has hooks on the inside here. What this allows you to do is you're going to typically wear an inner belt. For the vast majority of competition shooters, they're probably going to be using an inner belt out there. Now I'm going to share another company that doesn't necessarily use an inner belt, but you'll probably see this, use this, put it around your waist, and then this has the loops over here, the loops on this side of the Velcro, and then you would put this belt around. Okay, and this is going to be the most common option out there. There are lots of companies that make this type of belt, and a lot of competition shooters will use Double Alpha. I'll leave a link below, CR Speed, as well as Ghost holsters. So it's going to look something like this. And as I mentioned, most shooters are going to be using this. Now, the innovation when it comes to belts, I think it's the past year or so, Double Alpha created the Lynx belt here, which you see here, where the reason why this is such an innovation to the competition market and just the belt market is competition belts are usually sturdy like this and you can't really collapse them down. So if you're traveling, you want to put it in your bag, it's very hard to do. And it's all one piece, as you can see right here, okay? What Double Alpha did is they came up with this really cool innovation where the belt is created by these 1-inch links. And it allows you to expand it, buy more links, take out new links, and you can roll this up easily to store it in your luggage, and it's just much more compact. You can even flatten this out more and make it longer and flatten it out more. But you'll see the beauty of this is it is very compact and it's actually very strong. It's very sturdy because on the inside there's Velcro too. It still would use an inner belt. So you're still going to use an inner belt. So you're going to use this, then place this belt around it. There's another company that I had mentioned, aside from Double Alpha, Ghost, CR Speed, which is very common in the competition world, that is Safariland. Now, Safariland makes a lot of tactical style products, but they also have competition rigs as well as competition belts. On their website, you'll see a selection of their different belts, and they also have different rigs for different types of shooting. So if you're doing 3-gun, if you're an open or limited shooter, so on and so forth. So there's going to be a lot of options for you. They're a little bit different in the sense that you don't necessarily have to use a Velcro belt, inner belt. They have different options for that. And a lot of this is maybe just coincidence here, or maybe that's just my experience, I should say, where I noticed that a lot of three gunners mainly use Safariland, whereas pistol shooters will use Double Alpha, CR Speed, Ghost holsters, and the other options out there. So just keep that in mind. But you can take a look at the link below. They have a lot of great products as well. And the one thing that Safariland has that a lot of people like is the ALS system, which allows you to just basically clip on different products and take them off so that you don't have to unscrew them and things like that. So it's easier, you have more flexibility if you want to swap out your gear, the gear on your belt. Lastly, when it comes to belts, depending on the organization you shoot with, your division, things like that, I don't know every single rule or regulation out there for different types of competitions, you may not see this type of belt. You might be required to use a belt maybe with a buckle, something more casual, maybe not a hook and loop. So just recognize that that might be the case. I'm coming to you more with recommendations for competitions that belong to the USPSA or IPSC organizations. But there's IDPA, for example, and within those organizations too, the divisions, there might be certain things and rules. So just take note of that. Everything I'm talking about right now, more generalizations and just broad recommendations. Next up, holsters. Holsters are super important because clearly you wanted something that's reliable, will secure your gun, and you can access your firearm immediately because speed is important in competition shooting. There are so many different kinds out there, and all of the brands I mentioned for the belts, all of them also have their line of holsters. So it's literally a matter of trying out different ones and seeing what works best for you. A lot of the brands out there also have very similar models. Some of them might have a little change here, variation, which may or may not really matter to you. One of the biggest differences though in terms of holsters is it could be a closed type holster or something like this, open here, where the firearm actually will sit on top here and it's not covered. And for a lot of open shooters in USPSA and IPSC, they generally will use this type of holster, but it's not required, right? And so when it comes to holsters, the biggest difference that you're going to see is what I just explained, something open or closed, where you might be able to see the barrel, the muzzle, versus not. And using this type of holster, it was technically might give you some added speed. Take off, shave maybe 1/10 of a second off of your draw. So it's not a game changer, but when you are at the highest levels, maybe that 1/10 of a second is going to make a big difference in terms of whether you win or match or not. Now, I specifically use, because a lot of people have asked about my holster. This is made by Everglades. This is their magnetic race holster. Keep in mind, this is for competition. This is not something that you would want to use for a tactical style training or anything like that, because there's a chance that your firearm might fall because the retention is not that secure. It's secure enough for the competition setting, but definitely not for tactical training. Once again, all the brands that I mentioned sell belts, kind of the major brands, also have holsters. So if you take a look at any of the websites below, you're going to see their line of holsters. And really at the end of the day, these are the major brands, so they all produce quality products. A lot of very good shooters use them, but at the end of the day, really which one to get, you're going to have to try them out. Do I think that you're going to be at a big disadvantage just picking one and just going with it? No, I don't think so, but over time as you gain more experience, then maybe you can fiddle around with different holsters. But if you're just starting, buy from any of the major brands in the links below, and I think you'll be good. Remember, I don't know every single brand out there, but the ones we listed below are pretty much the major ones that a lot of people come across in the competition circuit. Lastly, the third item is magazine pouches. So you need a belt to shoot, you need a holster to shoot, and you need magazine pouches. There are so many different types of magazine pouches out there. Most of them are common like this. There's just like a kind of a bucket system here. You'll put the mag inside here, and you can orientate this any way, the tilt, angle, cant, things like that. Now, what I want to describe are a few differences that you'll see out there. And once again, before I dive into the differences, the brands that I listed below are also the major brands that sell these mag pouches. So if you go to any of their site, you're going to see those combinations of belts, holsters, and mag pouches. And if you go with any of them, I don't believe you can go wrong, but as you gain more experience, then you might want to experiment with others because there might be a feature that might help you shave off, a 1/10 of a second on your time. But when you're starting, that 1/10 of a second probably is not going to matter that much. So when it comes to features here, one thing I wanted to talk about was, so some magazine pouches will have kind of a clip here where it's very easy to take on and take off. So notice I'll just snap this in place, it's stuck on the belt, and then I can release it easily as well here, just with this clip, it comes out. Okay. Other options, you're going to be using a screw. So it's not easy on, easy off. Now they come with pros and cons, right? This is the advantage here is easy on, easy off. But a disadvantage is on my belt here, and I've accepted this, there's some wobble. So there's definitely some wobble here. So the exact positioning of, let's say if I'm trying to grab a mag, may not be exactly the same. Maybe the magazine tilted just a little bit. Now I know that, and the reason why I still go with this is for two reasons. One is it's been pretty acceptable for me, even though I know my mag placement changes a little bit. Two, I've been using really, I adjust the position of my mag pouches quite often because I'm still kind of experimenting with what I like best. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The attachments, there are pros and cons. Obviously, if it's permanent, then it's stuck there, right? Your mag's orientation is going to be the same all the time, but then it's harder, it's more cumbersome to adjust and find the position that works best for you. When it comes to mag pouches as well, most manufacturers these days will allow you to change the orientation. So if you don't like the mags, let's say bullets facing this way, you can have bullets facing out. So most of them already do that, but as you're buying mag pouches, if you want the flexibility to do that, just make sure that, in the description it says that you can change bullets forward, bullets whatever, you can change the orientation. Another thing when it comes to these mag pouches is that there are different features or different styles. I use ghost holsters, what you see right here. It's pretty standard. A lot of the different major brands will offer exactly the same option, just slight variations, but in terms of the functionality, it's the same. And this is kind of a bucket magazine holster or pouch. Nothing special about it, but as I mentioned, there are different styles there where there might be more of an opening here instead of the magazine being covered, where you can actually touch the magazine with your hand and maybe index it better so you have a tactile feel on the magazine, so you have a good index before you pull that mag out. There are also other mag pouches where there's more of a wide opening, so not just a small opening where you can touch the mag, maybe a bigger opening. So it's similar to kind of like this, kind of a race holster here, where I don't have to pull the pistol all the way up to clear the holster. I just pull it just slightly up and then I start to draw. Similar with those types of magazine pouches where there's a big opening here, so you just have to pull it just slightly up a little bit, then you can start pulling it out this way, instead of pulling all the way up and then moving in this direction. So again, the other holsters would allow you to just pull up a little bit, and then you can start moving up. For beginners, does it really matter? Probably not. Okay, that saving of the 1/10 of a second is not going to matter, but at the highest level, it most likely does matter a lot. If you ask me why I use Ghost magazine pouches, to be very honest, the functionality is very similar to the other major brands, as I mentioned, and I went with them for two specific reasons. One is I immediately saw this option with the clip. I know the other brands probably do as well have this, but I saw this right away. And also, they're the only ones who had the orange magazine pouch and may still be the only ones right now, I'm not sure, that, this orange magazine pouch matches our branding. So, it's not that like you're going to gain a huge advantage by using one magazine pouch over the other, unless you do have that cutout where if you're at the highest levels, then it might make some sense to do so. All right, so that wraps up a quick video on the different competition gear options. Remember, we're just covering belts, holsters, and magazine pouches because these are the only three pieces of gear you really need to get into shooting. I've listed all the links below. Make sure to take a look at all of them. Most of the brands are going to have very comparable products and you can't go wrong with them. If you are a 3-gunner, you're probably going to go the Safariland route because a lot of people change, they use the ALS system to change different products on their belt. The other brands are typically a little bit more permanent unless you have a clip option like this, but then again, it's not as secure. So take a look at the websites below, and if you have any questions, leave in the comments. As always, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.